Hello and welcome into the county seat in downtown Lillington. This is Camel Call Live, and it is a football takeover. We are so excited to be here, and hello to all of you listening to us live on the Varsity Network and GoCamels.com. If you have a question for the coach tonight, we've already gotten a couple in. Drop a message in the comments section of the posts, as we had the post for Camel Call Live go out earlier, both on Instagram and Twitter or X at GoCamelsFB for both. If you're here at the county seat tonight, make sure, and you have a question for the coach, make sure you come up during the break, and we will get those answered. With us is the head coach in his first year as the head coach here at Campbell Football, Braxton Harris. And Coach, we are excited. The spring game happened. Spring practice is in the books. You have not even been here 4 months, so kind of fill us in since the last time we talked to you. What has this wild, almost 4 months been like?
Yeah, it's only an hour show, right? We have to limit it. 4 months has been fast and furious. We've tried to instill the culture of our program, what we're going to be about, who we're going to be. I think that's the main piece that we have to get done right first and foremost, is understand who we are going to be as a program. And to do that, there's two different facets of it. Number one, you have to get the coaching staff in that matches that piece. It can't just be my vision. It has to be our vision. And we hired a staff that is that, number one, I want to be around every single day that you go to work with. They're great men. They're here for the right reasons. They're here to be able to care about kids and develop kids. A lot of them that I've gotten a chance to work with. So I've seen them in action. I've seen them what they've done. I've seen them how do they change behaviors of young men. And then the other people that we added, they're through contacts and through people that we've known, that we trust, that we believe in, and we're so excited to be able to be with this group of guys. That's one of the fun things as a head coach, just to be honest with you, Chris, is that you get to pick the people that you get to go to work with every single day. And for our staff that we put together, we're going to work really hard. They do a great job working really hard, but everybody has a lot of fun in there, and it's a lot of fun to be together in that spot. And so some of the families are here, so you see some of them here tonight. That's always exciting to see. And then some are on the way in that spot, and they're still transitioning in those spots. So getting those pieces is the first piece. Then you got to be able to focus on your players, right? You got to focus on instilling that culture within our staff, within our culture of our players that are currently on campus. Trevor Kanya, our head strength coach, his staff did a heck of a job this offseason getting into spring ball. Our strength coach is more of our culture coach than it is anything else in that piece. And so all those go in the same time. You get to spring ball. That's fun because you remember why you get hired. It's for football.
Yeah.
And then spring ball's over, and now we're back into recruiting as far as going into this summer session of the transfer portal, right? And that's a big part of college football today. You
mentioned it off the bat, installing a culture, your culture, the coach's culture. What changes have you seen in this team off the field?
Yeah, I think culture is who you are and not what you say in those pieces. And so the culture piece for us is we have to focus on what we do and how we go about doing it. That means how we handle our business in the classroom. Our student athletes have had over 485 hours of community service just this semester alone.
That's amazing.
And that's right here in Harnett County, where we're at, where our feet are planted in that spot. And so 485 hours that these young men that are full-time football players, full-time college students at a private school here at Campbell University that takes education serious. There's no easy degree here,
nope.
Right? There's no underwater basket weaving classes that I took probably when I was in school. But so they had to be full-time football, full-time students, and they gave 485 hours back to this community.
That's
already
amazing.
In this piece. And so for us, that's a big piece of that. Then the next piece is that what you do matters in the community, but also in the classroom. Doing study halls, working with those pieces to be able to improve our GPA as far as our student athletes. Those are pieces. And so that's the culture piece. It's not just about on the football field. When you're 18 to 23-year-olds, all you think about is football, right? Whatever you're passionate about, that's your most passionate thing. And everything else when you're 18, 23 kind of just fades away, right? So what we're trying to ask our 18 to 23-year-olds is look bigger than just your passion. How can you use your passion to make a difference in the pieces around you? And then how you can grow through the university in that spot.
A big thing that we have noticed about your team and your student athletes, many of which you inherited, and you knew, of course, as an assistant coach here when you were here in your first go-around. So you had some connections, but we have seen your student athletes, your coaching staffs at every one of our spring home events, and you've brought in a whole group to softball. You filled up half the stadium. You have been in a whole section in women's lacrosse. Talk about why that's important for your program and how your student athletes have bought in for that.
Well, student athletes, they take the lead, right? They're the prominent features of campus. They're 25% of our student body here at Campbell University. So and part of that 25%, you look at how much a football plays a part in that 25% as a whole. So the impact that we have and the opportunity we have to make an influence on Campbell University as a whole is immense. And we've got to take that lead as a football program in that spot. And the way that you do it is you show, number one, that you care about somebody else. That my time, what you do, and you respect what they do. Man, softball, that thing is happening fast now.
Yeah.
And our softball team is good.
Yes, they are.
And they are fun to be able to watch play in that spot. And so we got a chance to go watch a men's tennis match. And I don't know if they were speaking English or some other language the whole time, but, man, that was fun to watch. Man,
yeah.
Those guys were competing right there. And Coach was excited to be able to see us out there and support our kids. And it's fun to show is we want to create the culture and the environment that we're going to support each other. And as student athletes, we want to make it almost where there's a culture of we're going to take care of our own in that spot. We're going to back you in the spring, and we hope that they'll come out to Barker Lane in the fall.
Well, absolutely, and that's what you mentioned. What's neat, you are not just showing up to the high-profile events. You are at the tennis matches, and those are the teams that really need your support. But I will talk about one high-profile event that your coaching staff, and you were in the middle of it all, the men's basketball game on national TV against UNCW. That was one of the best atmospheres that I've been a part of post Chris Clemens, and that was electric because your guys really brought it.
Well, it's fun to celebrate. It's an opportunity for us to celebrate Campbell University in a national televised event like that. And so it's an opportunity for us to be able to show what Campbell's all about in those pieces. And so the mindset that we have, if Campbell wins, we all win, right? And so we want to make sure that we do everything in our power to help everybody win. That includes the pharmacy department. That includes the business department. All those pieces. If Campbell wins, we all win. And so we want to do everything we can to be able to help the whole in that piece. And that was a lot of fun. Stormed the court. I hope we didn't get fined. I don't know if did we or did we not? Did we make it out okay?
Didn't matter.
Okay,
it didn't matter.
Good. So we're good on that. But that was a lot of fun. And so what it does for our student athletes too, it creates a sense of pride to be at Campbell. It's fun to be at Campbell. And we always talk all the time is that we want to make the grass green where we're at, not always look and say the grass is greener somewhere else. Everybody can go find greener grass and go do different things. We want to make the grass green where we're at. We want to grow the grass where we're at. We want to invest. We want to plant. We want to fertilize. We want to grow. And that's what we're doing here at Campbell. You
and your coaching staff, your student athletes, your football program has certainly won off the field this spring. On the field, you mentioned it. I am being introduced to new coaches every week with your staff. So you had spring practice going on, and you had a lot of different moving parts. If you think about spring practice as a whole, how was it? What did you get out of it? What did you like from your guys?
Yeah, for me coming in and taking the job in January and getting to spring ball was kind of, you got to spring ball and you're like, oh, yeah, this is football. I'm a football coach. This is good. This is fun. This is a game we get to be a part of. And so the best part about being a football coach is coaching football with your student athletes, right? At the end of the day, the worst part about being a football coach, and I don't know if this is politically correct or not, is dealing with all the adults all the time, right?
Yep,
like we're
no
not
doubt.
that fun, right, Chris? It's
doubt.
more fun to be around our student athletes and doing what they love to be able to do. So it was fun to be able to see our guys be able to compete on the field. It was fun to watch our coaching staff interact with our student athletes. It was fun to watch that our players, how they responded to our coaches when they saw guys that were really coaching their tails off and then working their tails off for them in those spots. You saw those responses and you saw the relationship piece, and that's a lot of fun. This is an exciting time because we think we really have some talented pieces here on this campus, and we're excited to be able to get it to the fall.
And it's not as easy as it sounds. There's different offenses. There's
right.
different defenses. A lot of the student athletes are used to you as you were gone for a year as a head coach at Houston Christian and then come back. So there is that familiarity. But you are changing things on the field as well. How was the buy-in?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. We got a core group of guys, and you have to start with a core group of guys. Whatever you start building something, it doesn't matter what you're building, you have to start with a core group of guys, and you have to get them to believe in what you're doing. That core group of guys, you have to convince and you have to invest in that core group of guys, and then they're going to go and invest in another group of guys, and then it continues to grow in that spot. And so, there were kids in my office today talking to myself and Trevor Kanye, our strength coach, and man, they're excited about the opportunities because they know the guys that we're going to surround them with are guys that believe the same way they believe in that spot, and that's the most exciting piece of it.
So, Coach, the spring game, it was one of the biggest crowds that we've ever had for a spring game. This was spring game number 14 now. There was a lot of alumni back. There was a lot of student support. What did you like about the event?
Yeah, it was an awesome event, right? I mean, let's be honest on what spring games are. It's not a scrimmage, right? It's a dog and pony show, right? and that's okay. And I thought we did a great job of that. I thought our support staff, Nathan Rice did a great job with the development, being able to create a Fighting Camel Club event there for our alumni to be able to give back and be able to appreciate those pieces. Coach Dale Steele was there to welcome his group back. Matt Lowry and his group put on a great game day atmosphere to be able to bring food trucks in to our whole community. You know, that's the neat thing is you see, and what we're exposing some people to is what Campbell can provide for Harnett County, right? We want to be Harnett County's football team. We want on a Saturday afternoon, man, come watch a football game, come bring your family, come experience a great event at a high-quality level. And I think you got to be able to see that piece. But, man, to watch the alumni come back, and some guys hadn't been back in 5-10 years, hadn't watched a game in 5-10 years, man, that was really exciting to be able to see. And so I hope those guys left with a hope of Campbell football, but also an appreciation of what they did, because what they did is they started it when nobody believed, when there wasn't the notoriety that we have now, where you didn't get the people that know about Campbell that they do now. They did it on a hope and a vision, and it's our job to fulfill that vision, and we hope we're making them proud in that.
Well, you just led into my next question.
I read it
you
on
mentioned
your sheet.
Coach
Perfect.
Dale Steele, the father of modern Campbell football. He created this football team from scratch. The first 5 years he was there, had a winning season in year 4.
Yeah.
Just incredible. Him reconnecting with the program, and he reconnected with this program last year, but really, really excited that you're here. What's special about him and what he brings?
Yeah, you know, I'm a son of a coach's kid, right? And so I respect what Coach Steele has done. I've seen it from watching my dad go do that as a high school football coach. And so the biggest piece is the respect that there's somebody that sat in my seat. He's gone and fought the battles that you have to fight to go win football games and build a program. I mean, at the end of the day, there's not many people that can build, right? And Dale Steele can build. And he laid a foundation that we can continue to build off of in that spot. But he's the most kind, generous person that you ever meet in that spot. And so to have him back in the fold as far as a piece of that, he and I talk probably weekly on the phone just about different things. He's helped a ton in fundraising. We had a need to be able to meet some needs as far as recruiting, fundraising. And Coach Steele comes to me and says, hey, we got it. Don't worry about it. You go coach football. What a huge asset. For him to love Campbell. At that event on Saturday, Dr. Wallace, former president, was there. Coach Dale Steele, former football coach, were there. I mean, there's no greater thing that you can give in this world than time. And for those guys to still care about Campbell the way they do, man, that speaks volume about what Campbell has to be able to offer.
Well, and speaks volume, too, about what you and your coaching staff did in your team. So in the spring game, you wore Fighting Camel Club decals on the helmets. The shirts had the Fighting Camel Club logo on the front and a QR code on the back that people in the stands could do it. Why was it important to you to really connect the Fighting Camel Club with this team in your program?
Yeah, I think there's so many different things as college football changes drastically as far as being able to be in concert as an athletic department of what is our goal, right? We only have so many donors, alumni, boosters that we have to be able to attach to, right? We have to present a unified message as an athletic department, and it's our job in football to make sure we stay on message with that piece. And so, again, like we talked about earlier, when Campbell wins, we all win in those pieces. And so what that gave us a chance to be able to do is say, the Fighting Camel Club, if you're out there and you're listening and you're a fan, you're an alumni, you're a friend of the program, the Fighting Camel Club is the foundation of our athletic department, right? Those funds go directly to student athletes, scholarships. Scholarships equal opportunities for our young men and our young women in our athletic department, right? And so we wanted to use an event, a big event in the spring. We were going to have 25 to 100 people there at that spot and be able to accent that piece and be able to see football, athletics, all the sports come together and be able to say, hey, mom and dad out there, hey, booster, hey, alumni, this is the way that we need you to help us in that spot. For us to continue to move forward as an athletic department, the Fighting Camel Club has got to be able to grow. It's not about the dollars and cents. Everybody thinks, well, I don't have the $1,000 check. I don't have the $10,000 check. What we're looking for out of that Fighting Camel Club is we're looking for percentage of giving. We want to up our givers because if you are at home and you're listening to this and you say, well, I can give $75 in 1 year, there's a spot for you to give in Fighting Camel Club in that spot. And so the goal is, can you imagine, Chris, if we have our base of Harnett County, which is growing, and we got half of Harnett County to be a part of the Fighting Camel Club at any level, there would not be a need anymore. We would have the best facilities in the CAA. We would have the best resources in the CAA. And how does that benefit the whole? And that's the truth of it, and that's what we wanted to be a part of.
Well, as we go into this next break, and I promise I didn't give him the script, but he leads us into what we'll say going into our next break. If you haven't already, we invite you to join the rebooted Fighting Camel Club. The Fighting Camel Clubs, as Coach said, empowers student-athletes to lead on and off the field. Donations to the FCC help student scholarships and all kinds of things, help to be the team behind the team. You can get exclusive merchandise and exclusive experiences. Head to gocamels.com. As he said, every bit helps, and there's definitely a level for you. Hit the give button at gocamels.com. Stick around. We're going to give away some tickets. We're going to give away some merchandise. We have a lot going on down here in the county seat in downtown Lillington. This is Camel Call Live. The Fighting Camel Club empowers student-athletes to lead with purpose on and off the field. Over the past 3 years, donations to the FCC have helped fund scholarships, facility enhancements, health and wellness improvements, and the greatest needs of the athletics department. With our move to the CAA, the need for your support has never been greater. Memberships begin at just $100 and can get you access to exclusive merchandise and seating. Head to gocamels.com and hit the give button. Welcome back into the county seat in downtown Lillington. Go to gocamels.com. You can get your tickets, including season tickets, 6 home games coming up this fall for Campbell football. Also, if you are listening to us on the Varsity Network or gocamels.com on X, parentheses, Twitter, or Facebook, Go Camels FB, you can ask a question to the coach. Here we have one on Instagram from the great Camcini. We all know camels have humps. They spit as a defensive mechanism. They're fast. They can go long periods of time without water. But, Coach, the great Camcini wants to know what traits and characteristic will this Campbell team possess that most align with your intimidating and unique mascot? That is one heck of a question to start us off here.
That's a loaded question by a true Camel fan right there, right?
No doubt.
One of the things I hope that you see is that you see the persistence that we talk about, right? Like camels can go a long period of time and they're still performing at the end. One of the things we've got to do as a football team is we've got to win in the fourth quarter. And last year we got beat 60-105 in the fourth quarter as a football team. We were a 5-6 football team. If you narrow that margin a little bit, what does the end of the season record look like in that piece? And so great question about camels. I love the persistence of a camel. I love the doing your job no matter how tough the circumstances are of a camel. Nobody draws and puts a camel on their wall and says that's what I want to be, right? I love that piece of it. And it kind of goes along with Coach Harris' theory. Nobody's from nowhere, and we just want to be the persistent camels right at the end of this piece, and we're going to still be there.
No doubt, no doubt. And you have another question. This one came in about an hour ago on X from C6Reezy4. Coach, when is walk-on tryouts taking place for the fall?
That's a great question. But the first thing with walk-ons, right, is be accepted to school, right? The academic piece of it. And so that's something we do not have set in stone, but we'll work through that as the summer gets closer. If the local young man, we love the opportunity for them to be able to walk on and represent their school and their county in that spot.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, Coach. We had talked about before, and those of you that are listening to this on the podcast, as this will drop later on the week in our Camel Call podcast, but go back and look in January and listen to Coach. We went over a whole bunch of stuff, but he came back for many reasons. But, Coach, now that you have been back into the reality of coming back again, was there a moment or two where you and or your family was like, this is exactly why we came back here to be the head coach at this great university in this great place.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's days like this where your families can be around and they can be a part of this piece. You come to practices, we've got coaches' kids and their families are there at practice and they're interacting with our players. They'll go to the baseball game and they'll be able to do those things. They'll go to the basketball game and be able to do those things. Those same kids that they get to go to school with every day in that spot. And so that's a really special piece. You know, you get to go to sporting events and you get to see other coaches from other sporting events and you get to be around their families. You get to be around this community, which has loved our families so well. And so for all those pieces, we've gotten to experience each and every one of those things this semester. And those are things that we are very grateful for. You know, in this coaching profession, and in athletics as a whole, it's always about what's next. Thanks, look for this piece and look for this piece. We've just really, Jennifer and I have really used this time to really be thankful for what God's blessed us with the opportunity and the relationships with this people in this community. I mean, you can see people that are here that mean something to our family. You come to games on like the spring game, and there's people around us that are people that we go to church with, that we see in the grocery store, that we do life with, that we play in the Kiwanis golf tournament with. All those pieces are important for us, and we're thankful to be a part of it.
Coach, you have mentioned it a lot. It's never all about the head coaches, but it's truly you have a majority of your assistants here and everybody around the program. It really seems like a family atmosphere you're trying to create, not only with your student athletes but with your coaching staff.
Yeah, Jennifer doesn't give me a choice in that. So I just do what I'm told, and if she's happy, then I'm happy, and that's how it works. There's two people that control my life. It's Jennifer Harris and it's David Crane at the office. And so if I can keep our director of football operations happy and my wife happy, usually life works easier for me in those spots.
Amen.
The bad thing is when they talk behind my back about me, and so that's the place I really get beaten in that spot.
A separate text chain, indeed.
That's right.
Well, Coach, you can take a small breath. I know you've been hitting the transfer portal all of this week and what have you. When you go into the end of the semester here, I know first and foremost are getting you guys to end the semester strong, take finals. Then summer comes up. Take me through what goes on for your program over the next couple of months.
Yeah, it's not football season, so for a football coach, when it's not football season, you usually just prop your feet up, go to the beach, hang out, and read a book,
I know
right?
That for sure.
What else are you doing, right? No, I mean it's continuing to be able to build. Right now, we're in the transfer portal, and we need to add certain young men at positions to this roster. We've got to finish our kids academically strong. We met about that today as a staff about what we need to be able to do academically and how we're meeting with those. That's the thing that people don't see about coaches is that coaches are sitting there having individual academic meetings with our student athletes because they want them to be successful in the classroom. Those are things that people don't see about that coaches go on is that they're responsible for that student athlete success on the field, success off the field, in all areas of his life in that spot. And so our coaches do a heck of a job, and those group guys that are sitting over there, man, they care about our student athletes because it's not just about football, it's about getting them a degree, and it's being able to give them opportunities in that spot. And so that's the priority in that spot. And then you jump right into camp season, and we're going to have high school camps, team camps on campus. That we can hopefully get local schools onto campus. That's a really big piece, the high school camps, because you're talking about, I think we're going to have 2 high school camp sessions, and they're going to be about 220 kids each session in that spot. That's 220 prospective students first, to Campbell University. One of those kids may not be a football player, but he may come to Campbell. He may stay in the dorms. He may go eat in the cafeteria and go, man, this is a really nice place. I really should look into that. That's the piece that it is. And so, again, I keep saying this, but it's kind of the theme of where we're going, right? If Campbell wins, we all win, right? And so those camps aren't just good for football. They're good for Campbell University because it brings exposure to those events on campus in that spot. And so we're doing 2 of those. We're going to do some 7-on-7s where high schools can come in and get them on campus, get them on our facilities, and then do prospective camps and then do youth camps as well so that we can be able to provide something, to give something back to the youth in Harnett County and really provide some daycare for mom and dad right when summer hits. And now what do I have to do with Jim and Johnny to make them happy in that spot?
Well, you've really made it a point. You had so many things that you had to do here, but you made it a point doing all this stuff of going and visiting with local high school coaches, with inviting local high school coaches to campus. That was a priority for you from day one.
Yeah, we had over 30 high school coaches that came and watched spring practice. We had over 160 high school student athletes, prospective student athletes, come watch spring practice in this spot. And so being able to provide a resource to those staffs, those coaches, and then also the student athlete, that they can come and see a prospective student athlete. They can come see what a Campbell practice looks like. Most guys are going to go to Duke. They're going to go to State. They're going to go look at those places, and they have no idea what the quality of athlete that we have here at Campbell, the facilities that we have, and the campus that we have, and we want to be able to do everything we can to expose them to that.
Coach, you are looking for so many prospective student athletes with what that you have right now. When you got through the spring, what are you really excited about? What are the biggest strengths of this team as you think about them going into summer and the fall?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is their persistence, right? Like what we've asked them to do hasn't been easy. These guys didn't sign up for me. Even the ones that knew me beforehand, they didn't know me as a head football coach, right? And so the things that we're valuing as a program, that wasn't what they came to Campbell for, right? And so they're having to shift and they're having to change, and they're having to make decisions. And I'm 39 years old, not 40 yet, but 39, right? And it's not easy to change for me, right? And so these are young men that are going through those pieces. And so their ability to stay in the fight and be able to be persistent in their pursuit of, hey, I want to grow. Sometimes they grow and they understand why they're growing. And sometimes they got no clue that they're growing. And sometimes they know it hurts and it's not fun, but they're still growing in those pieces. And that's the most exciting about the kids that we have on campus, that they're doing those things and they're growing through those processes.
Well, to grow this program, there are some things that you need to improve on before you get out there and head to Liberty for the first game of the season. What are some things that you're trying to concentrate on, whether it's bringing in a player or for this team that really needs to do before the game start in the fall?
Yeah, the number one thing we're looking for a kid that comes into Campbell right now is we want young men that want to be at Campbell. Right? Like we talk about that as a staff. Hey, does this young man, does he want to be at Campbell? Does he see the value that the education, the private school education at one of the most premier private schools in the state of North Carolina, does he see that as a value to him? And then number two, does he see the value that this program can grow and invest in him into those spots, right? If they want to do those things, Chris, everything else you can really work from and grow from in those spots. If they think it's just a stop to the NFL or stop to this or stop to that, I mean, Campbell's probably not the place for them in that spot. Now, understanding this, that choosing Campbell does not disqualify you from those pieces, but that's a byproduct of the result that you put into those spots, right? And so that's the number one thing we're looking for, characteristic, is looking for guys to bring into this program and to improve upon in that piece. And that's the thing I think the guys that we have here on campus, they understand, and they've really done a great job embracing those pieces.
Great job of embracing a home schedule that's going to be here before we know it. Season tickets on sale now for Campbell football. 6 home games this season. It's one of those years in the calendar where there's 12 total games, but 6 will be at home, and all are at family-friendly times, something different we're doing this year. So all of our game times start between 2 and 5 for all 6 of our home games. Kids 12 and under in free again for every Campbell football game this season. Pepsi Tailgate Town will be back for a second year. It's a great pregame place for the family, food, games, and music. When we come back after the break, we'll take a look at that fall schedule more with Campbell head football coach Braxton Harris. This is Camel Call Live from the county seat in downtown Lillington. The Fighting Camel Club empowers student athletes to lead with purpose on and off the field. Over the past 3 years, donations to the FCC have helped fund scholarships, facility enhancements, health and wellness improvements, and the greatest needs of the athletics department. With our move to the CAA, the need for your support has never been greater. Memberships begin at just $100 and can get you access to exclusive merchandise and seating. Head to GoCamels.com and hit the Give button. Welcome into Camel Call Live, into our final segment here. Thanks for everyone listening on the Varsity Network live right now and GoCamels.com. We are coming to you live from the county seat in downtown Lillington, just about 5 minutes away from the Campbell campus. We are still in a transition phase as, of course, going from the Big South to the CAA. This will be year 2. Just 5 conference games in the former Big South Conference, now 8 conference games in the CAA, which is a good thing, but juggling the schedule. It's an unusual setup this season. So a 12-game season, which happens due to the calendar's position of Labor Day every so many years. But the first half of the season, unusual. Coach, your first 3 games on the road, then 3 straight at home leading into the bye week. We'll go through the schedule a little bit week to week, but your thoughts on the quote-unquote challenges or advantages of having that schedule this year?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the schedule, and the number one thing is every week's a football game, right? There's no easy wins, there's no soft wins, there's no easy opponents in that piece, and I think that's a tribute to where Campbell football has come from in those spots, and that's a credit to a lot of people that have gone in the past and been able to grow it to where it is today, to be a true Division I FCS schedule for 12 games. I don't know if we've ever played a schedule that is this competitive week in and week out.
Oh, absolutely, Coach. You know, we knew it was going to be a challenging game when we signed a contract with Liberty about a half decade ago, just when they were going to FBS. I don't think anybody thought we would be playing a Liberty team that went undefeated in the regular season last year, that ended up in the Fiesta Bowl. Their only loss to Oregon in that bowl game. Just amazing that they got a New Year's Six bowl.
Well, the only thing is they lost to Oregon, right? And their mascot's the Ducks. That's an unusual mascot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that one flies. This one walks. Might as well give it a shot and see what happens in the fall, right?
Yeah, and you talk about a challenging. We go into the FCS ranks, but on week 2, you travel all the way to Cullowhee to take on Western Carolina. A lot of people forget that this was a top 10 ranked FCS team halfway through the season last year. They ended up finishing 7-4, just missing the playoffs. They'll return to Campbell in 2025, which is exciting, but that is a premier matchup against one of the best teams in the SoCon.
And it's an in-state game, right? And those are the games that we've got to be able to play in, and those are the games as Campbell continues to progress as football. Those are the games we want to play in, right? Like, we've got to win our state before we win everything else. We recruit against those guys a lot in those spots, and so the recruiting ties of that game are a big piece in it. Coach Bell and his staff have gone in there, and they've flipped that thing overnight pretty quickly, like he's done in a lot of places he's been at. And so it's an opportunity for us against a really good FCS program that is very comparable to us in a lot of places. How do we get to measure ourselves up in the SoCon team in that spot?
Then you will open up on week 3 CAA play. You go all the way to Rhode Island. Rhode Island 6-5 overall, 4-4 in this very good CAA conference last year. They're a solid team and going to be a tough opponent. 3rd straight week on the road to try to get off to the right start in the CAA.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big piece is win your conference games, right? I mean, the CAA stands for itself, right? We've got to be able to go through those first 2 games and be able to go compete and know what they are and know that we've got to get better and grow. But at the end of the day, the goal is to win conference football games in the CAA. If we win CAA football games, everything else takes care of itself in that piece. Going to Rhode Island, we get to go on a trip. You know, those are neat trips, right? Like, I mean, for our young men, they're 18 to 23 years old. Some of those guys will get on that trip, and that'll be the first time they've ever been on a plane, right? It'll be the first time they've been to the state of Rhode Island. Those are the things we talk about and we miss in college athletics. That because these guys have made the right choices to be able to get the opportunity to play Division I college football, man, they get the opportunities to go to states like Rhode Island and have experiences in those pieces. And those are really cool. As a football coach, yes, it's about football. Yes, we're going on a business trip. But, man, that's a really cool thing to experience is guys get opportunities because of the game of football.
Yeah, I'm a lot older than 18, and it'll be my first time to Rhode Island, too. So I appreciate that if you make room for me
Absolutely.
On the plane. So Rhode Island will be big. And it's interesting you mentioned the CAA. Last year, 4 teams in the
Correct.
CAA made the FCS playoffs. Look, they just get one automatic bid, but it was the 13th time that 4 teams made it. They have had multiple bids now. I think it's something like 35 years. Nearly every year they have been a conference, and that's what's exciting too. Look, hey, you're going to go in and you are going to try to win every CAA game, but it's a tough season. But 1 loss doesn't mean you're out. 2 losses in conference doesn't mean you're out because they have so many teams that go to the FCS playoffs year in and year out.
Yeah, that's the fun, right? Is that in most leagues in FCS college football, there's only 1 team that gets in the playoffs, right? And this is an opportunity for us to continue to extend your season to be able to have postseason play. But in turn, you're probably going to play 3 playoff teams, right, in your schedule that most people don't have to play in their schedule. You're playing 3 playoff teams.
Yep.
And so there's ebbs and there's flows that you get on both sides. The exciting thing is that it gives us an opportunity each and every week to be able to reach our goals to get our football team in the playoffs for the first time in school history.
You will come back home. That home opener will be Saturday, September 21st, a 5 p.m. family-friendly start. It'll be versus Stony Brook. I know you have visions in your head because you have seen that stadium full before when you were here as an assistant. What are you hoping to see at that stadium that night?
Yeah, I'll be flat out honest, and maybe this is over the top, and maybe it's eager and aggressive. Man, I want that thing packed. I want Barker Lane to be the place to be in Harnett County on a Saturday night watching Campbell football. I want everybody in Harnett County to be able to come out there, and I want them to be proud of the young men they have. I want it to be the event in Harnett County, and I want that thing excited about people to be there. I want to sell as many season tickets as we possibly can, and for people to understand that when they do those things, they're not just making choices to come watch a Campbell football game. All those pieces go to help the mission of Campbell football and Campbell athletics in that spot. And we think we've got something really great to offer a family in Harnett County. This is a county where there's over 20,000 housing permits that have been approved for the next couple of years in Harnett County. This county is going to grow. This county is going to develop. We think Campbell can be on the forefront of that growth and that development and be able to provide things for their family in those spots.
Absolutely, and that opening night on September 21st will be the first of 3 straight weeks at home, a 2 p.m. start versus Delaware State. That was a team Campbell beat 2 years ago up in Delaware.
It was cold. It'll be a lot warmer for that one.
Oh, my gosh, I'm telling you what. And then a bye-week matchup with NC Central. Now, this has over 2 years. You got a taste of a little bit of it.
Right.
It has become quite a rivalry. NC Central just up the road in Durham. They have lost to just 3 FCS teams in the past 2 regular seasons. One was Campbell here in Bowie's Creek 2 years ago. Campbell blew them out. Then Campbell took them all the way to overtime last year. What a non-conference matchup that'll be.
And again, it's a in-state rival in that piece, and those are the fun games. Those are the games that I think make FCS college football fun. Is that you can go to Western Carolina, a fan could travel on that go to Western Carolina, see the western part of the state. You can go bring NC Central here. The regionality of FCS college football, which I think is really fun, that I think is a great opportunity that makes it special in that spot. Because most college football games at the smaller level, you're not going to have many visiting stands, right? When we go to Western Carolina, man, I hope that we fill our visitor stands with orange over there, and that orange and that purple will mix really well together, right? But we hope we have a good crowd over in that piece, and then we come to Central, comes here. Again, that's an in-state game. We've got to win our state.
The bye week will come after that, exactly at the halfway point, 6 games down, 6 to go. Then you alternate away and home every other week. Away at William & Mary, Elon, and Delaware. Delaware is going to be an FBS team in FBS. They were a playoff team last year. And then some challenges on the road, and that's the thing that we noticed. You know about this in FCS football and CAA. But whether it was at home or on the road, you had people in the visiting stands. Mm-hmm. It was an event. Football means something in each and every one of these FCS schools.
Absolutely, and that's what makes it great. That's what makes the CAA, right? Is because everywhere you go, it's the best thing in that town, in that area, in that spot. And we get, as at Campbell and in Bowie's Creek and here in this Harnett County area, we get the opportunity every time we bring somebody to Harnett County, every time we bring somebody to Campbell, whether they're from Virginia, they're from Rhode Island, they're from Stony Brook, New York, or where in that piece, we get to bring them here, and we get to show them how proud we are of Campbell, how proud we are to be Campbell's, and the excitement that we have for them in that spot.
Homecoming will be October 26th versus NCA&T. Richmond, a playoff team, will come to town. You mentioned you have 3 playoff teams on the schedule, and then Towson 2 in the season. Finally, Coach, as we will be around you a lot, but your final thought here as you look upon this summer and then this fall, where you're so excited about 6 home games at Barker Lane Stadium and you taking over this team as head man for the first time.
Yeah, I think we get the opportunity to make it what it is, right? Campbell football has had a great foundation. Guys like Dale Steele laid that foundation. Mike Minner continued to be able to build upon those pieces. Now it's our opportunity for us to take Campbell and take Campbell football and be able to push it forward and be able to challenge the status quo, right? Anytime there's change, there's opportunity for growth in those pieces. Sometimes growth is good. Sometimes growth is uncomfortable, but most of the time growth is needed, right? And this is an opportunity for us to grow what a game day looks like at Barker Lane Stadium. This is the time for us to grow on how we support Campbell football and what it looks like to be on that spot. My goal is you go do a coach's show next year, that's the thing to do in our town that evening, because we're excited about Campbell football. You come to a game on Saturday because you care and you know those kids, and hopefully they were doing something in your community to give back to whether your kids at Shawtown Elementary School or they were giving back to Habitat Humanity or they're doing any of those things in the community. And we hope that the community will see those pieces and go, man, we're going to go support those young men.
He is our new head football coach, Braxton Harris. Coach, thank you for taking time, bringing your entire family, your coaching staff. We appreciate you being here. We can't wait till the fall.
Yes, sir.
That will do it for Camel Call Live here from the county seat in downtown Lillington. Just 2 more Camel Call Live shows left. In 2 weeks, a softball takeover as we will preview the CAA softball tournament taking place in Wilmington. Our final show of the year right here, May 20th, as we will get set for the CAA baseball tournament in Wilmington as well. We'll talk some track. If you missed any of this show or want to hear it again, we drop this show live, our Camel Call podcast. It'll be later this week, which you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, and the Varsity Sports app. Thank you for listening live. Thank you all for being here. That'll do it for Camel Call Live from the county seat in downtown Lillington. Good night.